We are the Borg. Lower your shields and surrender your ships. We will add your biological and technological distinctiveness to our own. Your culture will adapt to service us. Resistance is futile.
After 2 failed invasions of Earth, the Borg diminished as a threat to the Federation throughout the 2370s due to a series of catastrophes in the Delta Quadrant, which forced them to focus on securing their own space. Though they continued to engage in occasional battles against the Federation within the Alpha and Beta quadrants, they endured their greatest struggles in the fight against the USS Voyager, a lone Starfleet ship pulled into the Delta Quadrant in 2371 by the Caretaker, a powerful being searching the galaxy for a compatible mate. When the Caretaker died and his technology was destroyed, Captain Janeway and the Voyager crew had no choice but to make the long 70,000 light-year journey back to the Federation, a task they believed could take up to 70 years and which eventually required them to pass through Borg space. After discovering the Sakari, a species nearly annihilated by the Collective, Voyager had their first encounter with the Borg in 2373 when they identified a non-functional cube while traveling through the Negrid Expanse. Sending their people aboard the ship, Voyager took the opportunity to learn all they could about their enemy's advanced technology, and soon uncovered that some of the Borg survived the electrokinetic storm which damaged the cube in 2368. Yet much to their surprise, the accident severed the link between these drones and the hive mind, allowing them to gradually reclaim their individuality and former appearances, using salvaged Borg technology to remove many of their implants. Making their home on a nearby planet, these former drones eventually divided into factions and went to war over resources, leading a few hundred to create a cooperative where they promoted peace and equality while defending themselves from the more aggressive groups. Hoping to end the fighting on their world, the Cooperative planned to reactivate the neuroelectric generator on board the damaged cube, thereby allowing those on the planet to share thoughts in a new hive mind, separate from the larger collective. Unable to enact this plan themselves, they found their opportunity after rescuing Voyager's first officer Chakotay, who was attacked by a violent faction shortly after landing on the planet. Using a neural transceiver to link their minds to the first officer, the Cooperative healed his wounds, but also gained access to his thoughts, allowing them to temporarily take over his mind. Although they attempted to ask Voyager for assistance, Janeway denied their request, and so they used their link to force Chakotay to board the cube and reactivate the generator. With a new hive mind established, they made peace among the factions, released Chakotay from their control, destroyed the Borg cube, and apologized to Voyager for their actions, claiming it was necessary for their survival. Continuing their journey to the Alpha Quadrant, Voyager soon entered into Borg space, where they found that an even greater threat was wreaking havoc throughout the collective. The trouble began when the Borg discovered fluidic space, an extra-dimensional realm where they found species 8472, beings whose physiology they described as the apex of biological evolution. Breaking through the dimensional barrier, the Borg sought their assimilation but were quickly outmatched and defeated. In response to this invasion, Species 8472 retaliated by attacking the Delta Quadrant, where they sought to exterminate all life. In addition to possessing heavily armored, warp-capable organic ships operated by a single pilot, Species 8472 were telepathic, up to 3 meters tall, physically powerful, did not require sleep, could survive in the vacuum of space, produced a biogenic field protecting them from sensors, could infect enemies with cells that consumed them from the inside, and had an immune system which destroyed nearly any foreign substance, making them resistant to nanoprobes and assimilation. Fighting a vicious war from 2373 to 2374, the Borg suffered massive casualties, losing ships, planets, and entire systems, until forming an alliance with the USS Voyager, whose doctor discovered a way to modify nanoprobes, thereby neutralizing the infectious cells of Species 8472. Promising to aid the Borg in exchange for safe passage through their space, Voyager worked with the Collective for a time, creating weapons and defenses to use against their common foe. In order to facilitate communication between them, the Borg selected the drone 7 of 9, tertiary adjunct of Unimatrix 01 as their representative, eventually sending her to work aboard the Federation ship. In the end, Voyager's new nanoprobe technology allowed the Borg to defeat Species 8472, forcing their bioships back into fluidic space. With the war over, the Borg attempted to turn against Voyager, but they anticipated this betrayal and incapacitated 7 of 9, cutting off her connection to the hive mind, which allowed them to escape and continue on their journey. Free from the Collective, 7 of 9 slowly regained her individuality and became a prominent member of the crew, and while the Borg made a number of attempts to get her back, their efforts ultimately failed. With 7 of 9 acting as a bountiful resource for information about the Collective, Voyager learned much about these cybernetic beings, including their interest in the Omega molecule, an unstable particle described as the most powerful substance in existence, with a single molecule possessing the energy of a warp core, while a chain of them could power an entire civilization. The Borg first learned about what they called Particle 010 in 2145 through the assimilation of 13 species, and after much experimentation were able to synthesize and stabilize a single molecule for 1/1,000,000th of a nanosecond before it detonated. In total, the Borg lost 29 vessels and 600,000 drones to these experiments before they ran out of material to synthesize more. Yet in spite of their losses, they were so impressed by the substance, they sought to assimilate any information possible, believing it existed in a flawless state, infinitely complex yet harmonious, and thus represented perfection. Therefore, when Voyager came across the wreckage of another civilization in 2374, who were conducting their own experiments with Omega, 7 of 9 demonstrated a profound reverence for the molecule, comparing her feelings to that of religious worship. In the years that followed, as Seven's personality continued to emerge and develop, she became a mentor to a number of former Borg drones encountered by Voyager, teaching them to reclaim or foster individual identities. Her first student emerged in 2375 when a transporter malfunction incorporated Seven's Borg nanoprobes into the Doctor's mobile holo-emitter. Using the holo-emitter's 29th century technology acquired during a mission involving a time ship from the future, the nanoprobes built a maturation chamber, extracted DNA from a Voyager ensign, and created a powerful new life form, which in essence was a 29th century Borg. Hoping to use this advanced being to defend them against the Collective, Janeway allowed the fetus to live, entrusting his education to 7 of 9. Developing 25 times faster than a normal drone, the fetus quickly became a full-grown adult male who chose the name 1, and with Seven's help was accepted as a member of the crew. Yet in spite of disconnecting his link to the hive mind, his advanced technology allowed for a secondary neural transceiver to emerge, which inadvertently contacted the Collective. Coming under threat from a Borg sphere, 1 upgraded Voyager's shields and phasers, but it was not enough, and so he transported onto the enemy ship, destroying it from within. Recovering his body, Voyager's doctor attempted to heal the damage to his organic parts, but 1 now understood the Collective would never stop pursuing him, and so chose death in order to protect Voyager. In 2376, 7 of 9 once again became a mentor, this time to a group of Borg children rescued from a damaged cube, becoming a mother figure to them as they regained their individuality. Although they eventually found a home for the 3 youngest children, the eldest boy, Icheb, became a permanent member of the crew. A special thanks to all those who contribute to CivilizationEx, like Lionel Storm, the Warhammer of Lightning, Mamoru the Obscured Hermit Alchemist, Barian the Soft Bastard Beesbury, and Kurgan the Immortal. If you'd like to help the channel, you can sign up for membership through the YouTube join button, buy merchandise from the store page, or else go to patreon.com/CivilizationEx, where you can gain early access to videos, vote on future content, and access the Patreon-only series, Heroes of Lore and Legend.